Hi everyone, Tirza Schaefer here, the smiling goddess, and I'm starting a series of interviews and starting with my absolutely wonderful friend Asa Nilsson. I'm so happy to have you as my first. I love you to pieces. And yeah, I just give the mic over to you. Tell us, what you've done so far and what you're doing now, who you are, that kind of stuff.
Oh, God, I'm so happy to be here. You are my girl. I love you. I love seeing your smile. You make me so happy. Thank you for asking me to be a guest. I appreciate it. I really do. This is a nice place to find myself on this April 2nd, this snowy April 2nd in Västerås, Sweden, which is where I live. And yeah, so like you said, my name is Asa Nilsson and I live in Sweden. And I am a Swedish death cleaner
Mm.
and a podcaster. I have a podcast called More Moss to the People, which is my passion project.
Yeah, I
And
love it.
yeah, I appreciate you support me every week. I really appreciate it. And we'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, that's who I am. That's where I am right now in the world. I was born in Sweden, raised in the US, and came back to Sweden when I was 43 years old. And now I'm 50, nearly 57. So I've lived
Wow.
in Sweden now since 2011. Yeah. So I'm back and figuring out my life every day.
Well traveled.
Yeah.
I know you've been
Yes.
to lots of different places as well. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love traveling.
Mm,
That's my passion.
yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
And I just want to go into how we met because that's an interesting twist, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
So we've been in the same group, Tarot for Women by Sinead Fine on Facebook, and that's how we got connected in the diploma group, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love Sinead Fine. Also,
She
excellent
is
teacher,
amazing.
beautiful, beautiful human being, Irish woman living in Israel. And,
Yeah.
she has created a very, really beautiful, tight group where it's all women and women, spiritual women who are looking to use the tarot as a tool in their lives, maybe for themselves, maybe for businesses, whatever. And Tirza is a co-member of this group. And little by little, I'm watching you and I think you're so nice. You're so supportive of everyone. And something that really speaks to me, and because I watch people, I'm a people watcher, and
Yeah.
because character is always revealed, one of my favorite sayings, and I've always watched how you support other people, and you've never asked for anything in return. You just simply were being kind and gracious and offering support, offering feedback if people were asking, and that's the kind of people I want to hang with. That's the kind of people that I want to have as my friend. And so we have become friends. We have built a nice relationship. We've never met one another in real life, but virtually we see each other often.
Yes,
Mm,
absolutely. And I just love talking to you because you're
me
so
too.
open as well, and I can just run ideas by you, get some input, and you know.
The same with you. I mean, you're an excellent tarot reader. You're so good at so many things. Your talents fascinate me
Thank
because
you.
you're so multifaceted. You're like a Renaissance woman to me. And I'm like, I don't know how you keep track of it all. I don't know how you do it all.
Uh,
But
it's a bit difficult at times because also I'm not as structured as she did and you are. You guys are so structured. I'm like all over the place. Okay, what am I going to do next? Oh, I mustn't forget that. And you guys are like doom 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 doom. It's amazing.
that's a learned behavior. Yeah, but I
I
think
just
that's
love it.
also good because I think the
Yeah,
world needs all of us. Yeah, and
absolutely.
thankfully,
Mm,
we all have our skills, and
yes.
mine and Sinead's. I mean, happen to also include being super duper organized, and
Yeah.
that's that now, of course, leads us into different avenues in our life. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm so happy that we've gotten to know each other more, and now to be a part of this beautiful channel of yours. So nice.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
I'm really happy I started this one separately from my Alta account as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
it's
Me
really
too.
great. I could just do my stuff here without having to kind of thinking about balancing anything or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, right. There's
Mm.
like no agenda, which is nice.
Yeah,
Like you don't,
exactly. I just put my stuff on what I like to do, and it's like, people who love it, they will come, and who
yeah,
doesn't, it's like
of
somebody
course.
else might be better fit.
That's right.
Yeah. I haven't
Exactly
got
right.
ego involved. I just follow my heart, which I
Mm,
love about you because
mm,
you do that as well, but it's not always
mm.
been that way, has it?
Oh
So, do
God.
you want to
No.
give a bit of a background about like how your life evolved to this point, kind of thing?
Yeah. Oh, I would be glad to share. I'd be happy to share because
Yeah.
it's I love to learn. Like I told you, I'm a people watcher. I watch how other people act, how people react, and what they do. And
Mm.
I've seen that people have been happy in their careers. I've watched people say that, "Oh my God, I'm so happy. I'm living my highest and best life," and I'm just leading from my heart. And I'm like, "Wow, that is amazing." So it's almost like, well, they did it. They're doing it. I mean, not necessarily how are they doing it, but I'm like, it's been done. And so going backwards in my careers, like I said, I'm 57 now in July, and I have had so many different types of careers. I've been a banker, I've been a real estate broker, I've worked in administration at a school. And I mean,
Wow.
I've done a lot of very
All over.
black and white things, like really black and white things. Excuse me.
Right.
And, I mean, kind of just like helping other people, feeling like I was doing the right thing,
Mm.
but not a bunch of joy, like in the underneath, to drive me forward. And
Mhm.
then realized yet again that I was finding myself in the same place, like this routine, this pattern that I keep creating for myself of
Mm.
running, doing, shoving, having more, bigger, better, faster. Like I gotta have more money. I gotta have a bigger car. My house isn't enough. Like it's never enough. And it's like, what is this? That's one of the reasons why I left the United States to begin with, because I couldn't slow my life down. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then I moved to Sweden thinking, well, I'm going back home. It's going to be quiet. Sweden's so quiet and everything is so nice and la la la. Not a lot of things to choose from, less. It's not America. And
Mhm.
basically, it's just a mini version of America. It's less people, yes. But I realized it wasn't, where I wasn't the problem. It's who I was. That was the problem.
Yeah,
And,
that's
the common denominator is
oh,
me.
yeah.
And how can I stop the running? How could I want to stop the running? And so I needed to find models, like role models of people that were doing it. And so I started a podcast. And I mean, basically, I didn't formally hit a wall, like what they call it here in Sweden, proverbial wall of where you just basically go into burnout. I believe I
Yeah.
did. I believe I actually did and didn't actually know that I had. And it took me probably 4 or 5 years to calm my nerves after my previous job. And I did it all
Wow.
myself because I didn't even know it was happening. And I started my own business when I was 50 years old as a life coach, and learned a lot about myself. And then I decided, you know what? No, I don't want to be a life coach. I really want to do this podcast thing. It was amazing how it all rolled into actually coming into fruition, because I started it so I could have cool conversations with people that were daring to do life differently. Like people who actually had the balls to stand up for themselves and get out of queue and stop like being like the neighbors, dressing like the neighbors, eating like the neighbors. I'm like, it was so boring. Everything was just so boring. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm doing exactly the same thing. How can I expect something to be different if I don't do something different? And so I had to learn, and I wanted to ask questions. I wanted to interview cool people. And I did. And I started that like 62 episodes ago now.
It's
And
amazing. I so love your podcast. I haven't
I
missed a
have,
single one,
hmm,
and I'm just such a fan
you're an angel.
because it is so amazing to meet people through you that way. And
Hmm.
I think you're a brilliant show host as well. The way
Oh,
you ask
well,
questions and whatever. You've really got talent for that.
thanks.
But I just love so much the kind of people that you choose as well
Mm,
because it's so interesting. It's so outside of the box. Like there is no
yes.
box, and
Yes.
everybody, and they're all different ages as well. I mean,
Yeah.
you've had very young people, you've had quite old people, and anything in between.
Mhm.
And there's quite a lot that I follow now as well on social media, and
Mm.
because I found them really interesting, like Wendy, who does
Yep. Wendy Wright. Yes.
right, exactly.
Yep.
Um, really love her as well, and she does brilliant stuff. And That's just
many.
one example of so
Yes.
many, you know,
STEVIE,
and
CALLISTA,
obviously,
Farmhouse Moon. I love
yeah,
her. Yeah.
she's great too. Yeah, I follow
Yeah.
her as well.
Yeah, you're gonna have to tag these people in your show notes or however you can tag people. But the podcast has been
Yeah.
it was interesting because it's it's helping me find my voice. It's helping me to not be afraid to show up vulnerably in front of the world because I was raised to this is something I took upon myself. Nobody told me to do this. This was
Mhm.
also you have to make it seem like you know everything. You have to show up as a subject matter expert in everything. I mean, even as a small child, I did this to myself, and that comes with a lot of pressure. And
Oh
so
yeah, yeah.
starting the podcast, I was
That
just like,
perfectionist syndrome, isn't it?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm like, I don't know
Mm.
anything. I don't know anything. I'm shooting from the hip here and I can offer you nothing. I have no listeners, so I can't give you anything in return. Would you like to be a guest on my podcast? And people are like, I'd love to. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you. I want to be real. I want to show up without the mask, right? That's you and I talk about this. The
Yeah.
mask is the persona that you show the world. Like, I want people to think I am something I am not. Then what is that about? Like,
Yeah,
how does
exactly, because you
nothing
make
games?
yourself vulnerable and you're afraid
Mm,
of being ridiculed or put down
yeah.
by other people, not taken seriously. And it's
Mm,
like we are human. And I think the
yes.
times where you have those mega spiritual gurus, they're like all Hollywoody kind of thing, all shiny and glamorous and whatever, they're not even relatable. They're so
No.
far out,
Mm,
whatever they were portraying at least, and how they show up.
yeah.
you know, filling stadiums or whatever. And then
Yeah.
it's
What?
just like,
Well,
I can't relate to that person. It's not
no.
really a real thing, is it? It doesn't feel
No.
that way.
Well,
So,
no.
being real, I'm really so happy that we're here, we're unfiltered, and,
Mm,
it's just us. And
yep.
yeah,
And we're enough. This is
exactly. Yeah.
this is the lesson that I had to get into my head, and that was why and whom are you running from or to? Because really, ultimately, what I was looking for, I mean, my three top values in my life are peace, freedom, and community. Those are it. Peace. I
Yes.
need peace. I need peace in my heart. And what makes me not feel peaceful? Well, when I'm not being honest with myself. When I'm not being honest with myself, I can't be honest with you. And if I can't be honest with you, what kind of if my next thing is community, how can I be creating a community of people that I want to be like in communication with? Not they don't we don't have to have the same conversation. I'm not looking at like people having to be just like me or having the same thoughts, like the whole like-minded people. It's like otherwise we're living in a vacuum. I like people that have different points of view. I like people getting their freaky flag on. Good, good. You know what?
Yeah, I
Because
love
that
that.
helps us. That helps us
Yes.
all to grow.
Yeah,
As
because
long
it
as we're not
broadens your
trying.
horizons and
Yes,
gives you different perspectives, and it
yes,
opens your mind up to more possibilities as well.
yes, yes. And
Doesn't
to
mean
see.
you don't have to agree with everything
No,
that
no.
somebody else thinks, says, or does, or whatever, but or it doesn't have to be for you, but just to be exposed to that and to
Mm,
run certain other concepts that you haven't talked
mhm.
about or other
Yeah,
points of view through your mind
yes.
is just so valuable for your
I
own
love it.
development.
I
Absolutely.
I think
Yeah.
there's what is her name? My angel, Brene Brown. Doesn't she do something with somebody else? There's three people, her and two gentlemen. They say to each other, change my mind about something. And I love the premise of that because it takes us out of ourselves. And this whole ego
Yes.
of, I am everything that there is, and this is how it should be. Now, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think we all know
No,
people like that.
no, we
They're
do.
so fixed. It's like I'm right, so therefore, if you don't agree, you have to be an idiot or something,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that
you're
is
so
just not
stupid.
true. Yeah,
Yeah, no, no, it isn't true.
yeah,
And that is, I think, what has helped me to understand more outside of my frame of reference, which I had, right? Because when I start going into the tarot and I start going into astrology and I start understanding myself at a deeper level, also at a higher level of what is it that I'm searching for? What is it? And who do I want to be in the world? I mean, to really show you, it's like, imagine working with your gifts. I mean, actually thinking like, well, yeah, I like to organize. I happen to like decluttering. I like to talk about death. I don't have a problem talking about death. And people are like, oh my God, you know that there's people that do this kind of work. And I'm like, yeah, there are people that do this kind of work, and I'm thinking about doing it too. So for me to become a Swedish death cleaner, people are like, what the hell does that even mean? I'm like, I talked to you about death while we're getting you ready for while we're getting ready for death and cleaning up your house and organizing and get your shit together. That's what we're doing. So you don't leave a mess for other people. And like, what? Like, this is easy. Let it be easy, Asa. It doesn't have to be so complicated. It doesn't have to be so rigid and boring and hard and I'm having
Yeah, I
fun.
think a lot of people are really afraid of death. That's a
Mm,
big taboo for a lot
mm,
of people, and
yes.
also um, like something you keep far, far away from yourself, because that's like you have to face your
Mhm.
own mortality, which makes people
Sure.
so uncomfortable in our society
Right.
nowadays, very
Yeah.
often. I mean, I love talking about death as well, being a Scorpio, but
That's right, my
it kind of
Scorpio.
comes with a birth chart, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
But,
it is.
I
Good
love that you
conversations.
make that so approachable and so easy. And
Mm,
so how do you deal with people when there's a lot of fear coming up around
mm,
that, but
mm.
they need help? Like,
Yeah. To be perfectly honest, if they have too big of a fear, they're not talking to me about it.
okay,
Yeah, they're not ready. They're not ready to
yeah,
talk because maybe, like, for example, the clients I have, my sister, for example, who just lost her husband in Houston, Texas. I mean,
mm,
she's 66, 60, I mean, she just turned 66. And I mean, she's starting her whole new phase of her life. And she wasn't, I mean, who knew that at 66 she was going to be a widower, or whatever they're called.
yeah,
And so she was ready. Yeah. My
mhm,
client in Stockholm, who's moving back to the United States, he's ready because his wife passed away and she's gone. And he has to,
yeah,
the people that I speak with are ready. And so the
yeah,
people that are sniffing, that are like looking at my posts on my social media
yeah,
pages or looking at my videos or listening to my podcasts, they're getting ready to be ready, right? Because they don't
uh-huh,
understand that they are getting ready, because what we're talking about, you can't get away from it. It's 100% gonna happen to
yep,
ya one day, okay? And either it's gonna be you're gonna drop dead, or a family member unfortunately is gonna pass away, or something is going to happen that you're going to have to face this. And when it does, why not in a morbid, hideous, like, "Oh my god, this is so depressing" way, but in a very not subtle, but like it can be soft, it can be loving, it can be gentle, it can be respectful, it can be all of these things when we choose to be open and talking about what we fear the most, and death,
mhm.
taxes, in-laws, whatever, what money, all of it. It's
Yeah,
because there's so much unknown, and I think that to be able to get started, just start paying attention. You start thinking, okay, you know what? Yep, I'm 25 years old. Do you think you're going to die? Of course not. No one thinks they're going to die, and
yeah,
it's completely understandable. But are you ready? Are you prepared? Have you gotten your ducks? Because our responsibility is ours, not my husband's responsibility is not mine, right? I don't have to take
mhm,
care of him. I need to take care of me, and my job is, do I have all of my things? Do I have my wishes written down? Like, if and when I pass away, do I want to be buried? Do I want to be cremated? Do I want to be, all these different things? That's my job. But that's exactly what I need to do. And once you get it done, you get it done. And then it's done.
yes,
And then it becomes like a work in progress, right? You just can keep updating things as you go. And you can walk around your house and get rid of stuff that you do not need, because at the end of the day, who cares about the stuff, right? I tell you right now, there's
mhm,
nobody sitting on their deathbed thinking, God, I wish I had more crap. I wish I had more stuff right now. It's about the family, it's about the friends, it's about the community. Who have you
yeah,
chosen to love, and who do you hold the closest in your heart? That's what you're thinking
yeah,
about at the end of the day. So this is the people who come to me are either getting ready to be ready, or they already are. They're ready to move now.
mhm,
And not literally having to move, but getting ready to get their things pared down so that they can get more clear. And this is what happens when we have so much stuff. I mean, the decluttering of the body, mind, soul, and home. that's what we're doing. I mean, we are literally moving things out so that we can see our lives clearly from the position that we are in now. It's there's nothing like, okay, you're going to be dead within a month. Okay, then things have to happen differently. Then it's a different, time that we have to move quickly.
Yeah.
But for a normal everyday transaction or normal human being that's just going through their lives, this is a process and it's a beautiful one and I love it.
Yeah, and it's also very often a recurring process. Like for me as a
Yes.
mother of three,
Yep.
and like two of them are out of the house already, so there's been a lot of decluttering first to make
Sure.
from my stuff to make room because we didn't have that much for four people in the house. So I mean,
Mhm.
and everybody was like having different interests and things. So it wasn't like, oh, you can just pass that down, but they wanted something new. So we've had like different things for four different people.
Sure.
And then you always have to see what can you take out, make room for something new,
Yes.
but also like, I personally came to the point where I said, now I'm not going to take anything out anymore that's mine because otherwise I'll feel like I'm a guest in my own house. It's like you can't see Olivia anymore kind of
There's
thing.
nothing left.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that was
Uh-huh.
like too much. It's like I have a right for my space as well, even as a mother and putting my children first and
Of
everything. But
course.
yeah, I'm the one here in power and
Yes.
pulling all the strings. So
Mhm. Mm.
my presence should be acknowledged.
That's
Yeah.
up to you, right?
Yeah. I
But
mean,
this
that's
is
what I did as well. I said, I love you so much and I do everything for you, but I'm
yeah.
not going to be annihilated here.
Mm. I wouldn't think that
Yeah.
anybody would want that for you either. And
No,
now
no.
your children are getting older and they have moved out. You have one daughter left, and
Yeah.
you are going to be moving into a different stage then also. It's like the cleaning out of the children's rooms and
Yeah.
adulting them so that when they come back and visit, they have a room to stay in, but they don't have to have all
Mm.
their awards from childhood sitting in that room anymore. It's
Exactly. Yeah.
it's a
There's
good
also a
process.
transition from like living either in a shared apartment or having a room in the student halls, which my son had
Oh yeah.
until recently. Now he's moved into his first apartment and he is he needs stuff, he needs furniture and all that kind of
Sure.
thing. So I've kept furniture as well for the first part, and then he can kind of change it over bit by bit to
Yeah.
what he likes, because he
Right.
obviously he's got a different taste. But so he doesn't go without in the beginning. That he's
Mhm.
got stuff, everything that he needs to put all the
Yeah.
stuff away, and then afterwards the next person can take it. So
Sure.
up to the little
That's
one
what we
kind
do.
of thing.
I love secondhand stuff. I love
Yeah,
regeneration of belongings. It's very important to me and a huge part of my life
absolutely.
also.
Yeah, yeah. And I've
But
I mean, I've got plans even now. I want to reduce myself in different things. Like, for example, we've got a smaller dining table now just because it's just two of us most of the time.
mm,
And when my children were little, we had like three families sitting at the
mhm.
table, at a time kind of thing. So we needed a really big one, which I'm now using as my desk because I need the depth to like, shoot videos as well when I do my cards and things. But
Yes, now I need it for a
yeah, and for
different
that is
repurposing.
yeah, exactly. It's brilliant and it doesn't have to
Yes.
have the same purpose again. But
No.
at the same time, it's like, I want to change stuff over for new needs and, and new circumstances and all that,
Sure.
which is an absolutely brilliant thing. And I've been ongoing doing like decluttering and things, but I
Mm.
also know people who are like borderline messies and
Yeah.
hoarders,
Mm.
and that is really frightening.
Mm.
I have to say.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's chronically disorganized people. I mean, hoarding is an actual term that it's a medical
Mm.
term, and so
Yes.
that is something that a
Mm.
professional would need to say that somebody that is a title that they would have. But I have met people in my life that have just accumulators, accumulators, accumulators,
Mm.
and don't know how to get rid of anything and very afraid to get rid of things because they think then they're not going to have anything. They're going to need it one day. And
Yeah.
And I
Or
understand that.
they've got so much emotions attached to it. Like
Yes,
they've got a little
yes,
pebble from the beach, but 50 of
yeah,
those, and each pebble
yeah.
has a different story to it. And they tell you like half an hour story about one pebble. And then you go to the next
Awesome.
one, it's like, whoa. You know? And I
You're
love
like, gotta
stories,
go.
but you can get over the top with that as well.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. That could. That, I mean, people are interesting. I mean, humans are interesting, and I think that ultimately, like, what is the goal? And for example, my sister now, who I just came back from Houston last
Yeah.
week, and I was there for 17 days. I
Mm,
went in with, okay, this is what this is going to look like. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to work on. That.
mhm.
I have my plan, right? The best laid plans, please. I mean, I went to hell in a handbasket in no time, right? I'm like, okay, so I have to remain flexible. I got to remain open. I cannot, like, I can't have an agenda. Right. I mean, I couldn't care less if you want to do the kitchen or if you want to do the living room. It doesn't make a difference to me. It is your home, and we're
Yes.
going to get done what you need to get done. Right. So
Yeah.
he staying open and available to see that things are going to change, and you need one decision maker. You can't be working with 6 decision makers in a house, right?
Yes. Yes.
So your friend who's got the jar of the pebbles from there, which is beautiful, that's terrific. That's excellent that it means something to them. And I hope that they contain it in something really nice. And if that's what you want to bring with you, great, take it with you. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. If you got room for it, super. Let's move on to the next thing. Maybe there's something over here that you don't need. It's have fun with it, because it's like my sister's clothes from the 70s that she's kept. She's like, yeah, I don't think I want that. I'm like, oh my God, thank God you could not possibly want this. And like we'd be holding up, it's like this big or this small. And it's just fun. Yeah. It's like it can be fun, and people don't understand. They don't tie the clutter in their mind to the clutter in their home, to the clutter in their heart and their soul, that they don't put it together. But I'm telling you, you
But they're
start doing this.
surprised when you do that,
Oh, yeah,
what
there's
that
always a
sets
price.
free, isn't it? Yeah.
That's it. That's exactly right. Like when you let go of the things that really don't matter to you, what you do is you open up the space in your mind to be able to see things clearly, see yourself, see your situation, change things around, see things from a new perspective, like the hanged man in the tarot.
Yeah.
It's powerful. It's really powerful work. And I hope that other people can understand the reverence in it, to do it, to actually touch things of yourself. You don't have to do the whole Marie Kondo, where you're like, this has meant something to me and you want to put it aside, whatever. I mean, you do whatever you want to do with it. But the idea of seeing how much stuff we have, and then thinking, like, if you tie like a value to that, like, oh my gosh, like I have spent so much money on these belongings, and here I am just donating them out. Some things people haven't even used ever. Tags, like perfectly brand new things. Like, yeah, I don't want it. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, but somebody else will want it. Somebody else will want it. And that's
Mhm.
when we go to the secondhand stores, or we go to the Red Crosses or whatever, people who would want it. Um, it's very fulfilling. It's fulfilling for people to give away things.
It is, yeah. My mom
Mhm.
volunteers in a store like that, a
Yeah.
local one. So
Mhm.
it for us it's super convenient
Mm.
because we just bag everything up. It's like you take to the
Yes.
store and
Yep.
whatever you can't sell there for charity, just give it away. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter,
Yeah.
just if anybody is there because a lot of people you really have next to nothing, big families
Yes.
and so on. And
Yes.
and they will be happy with some
Of
of that
course,
stuff,
of course. I like to give things for free personally,
Yeah.
but there are a lot of people that see a value in having an exchange of money, like something, because it's also because of
Mm.
pride for themselves, to say, well, I've invested something too for my family, if it's $1 or whatever. I mean, they want to give something, because they feel good, which that's nice too. There's something for everybody, and we've all got stuff that we can give away.
Yeah, and I mean, if you have a store, I mean, it's a charity, so they're not doing it for profit, but
Yeah.
at the same time, they do have overheads like
Yeah, of course, sure, of
the
course.
rent, the
They have
lights,
to
and
pay
whatever.
to run the business. Sure.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's really what it goes towards. But
Mhm.
they're very low priced, and
Yeah, that's good.
yeah,
That's nice. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
absolutely. And they do
Yeah.
give stuff away
Hmm.
sometimes and just say, just take it
Just
or
take it.
whatever when they see that somebody's genuinely in a bad tight spot.
Mhm. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. It's really nice to be able
Mm.
to drive a car filled in the trunk, because that's what I recommend to anybody if you're doing this kind of work. When you're starting to load these bags up of all these belongings or boxes, get them out of your home. Same
Yes.
day or the next day. Do not keep it. Don't hold on to it and say, okay, I'm going to get to that in the next month. I'm going to add to it. No, get it out. Get it out. Get it where it needs to go.
Yeah.
Ask people if they want it. Ask your neighbors. Ask your friends. Ask your family. I mean, you can go onto Marketplace on Facebook, or there's so many different sites where people can go and put things if they want to get some dollars on it, whatever.
Mhm.
But it's to get it out quickly versus holding on to that stuff. That's a pro tip right there. Don't hold on to
Yeah.
it. It'll just be starting to get used again.
Yeah. I remember once decluttering, and I had like, I don't know, I had like the whole hallway full of stuff like that. It was a huge pile. It was mega huge. It was nearly as high as I was, and when the children were small. And then I just called, I did that all overnight. And I called my dad the next morning. I said, take everything out of your car, come here and take that shit away.
Please,
Because
Dad,
I don't
thanks.
have a car of my own, so it was
Yeah. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
But
it's an
that was
it's I mean,
so relieving. And
yes.
then it's also like you see that big pile, and like, that time we were in a really small, like, one bedroom place, and I was looking around, it's like, where the hell did I get that from? Where did that even live all this
I
time?
know.
It looked so
It's
huge. It was like,
crazy.
yeah, it's what you can get out of. It's just, oh,
I love it. And my clients, when I'm working with them and they have their piles and they keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's, for example, my client in Stockholm, I mean, when I go there, I don't bring my car. So we have to get companies to come in and take out the belongings, which,
yes.
that's kind of exciting too, because you learned a lot, learn a lot of new things there. But to have the luxury of being able to have a car to get things out, borrowing from a friend
Yes.
or asking a
Yeah.
friend to help you, or your father, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you just look at it as you're giving it over, you're passing it on, you're paying it forward to the next person that is waiting for your belongings,
Yeah.
it makes it easier. Yeah, because people have a real hard time like relinquishing that bag.
Yeah,
Like,
I had to learn that in the beginning as well. So
mhm.
that was a learning process. But now it's quite easy for me
Yeah,
most of the time. I've got a few
yeah,
things that are very important to me, but even with
mm,
books that I don't need anymore, or bought them and find like I don't think they're any good kind of thing,
yeah,
to pass
yeah,
them on or even
sure.
throw them out, whatever, because I read in English. Being in Germany, it's a bit difficult to find somebody to.
Oh, so people don't want them.
No, usually not, especially not, esoteric spiritual topics.
Okay. Hmm.
I just sometimes I have to throw them out because I've even gone to the public libraries and I said, no, we don't need that. We just throw it away
Yeah,
as well. So
yeah. That's hard for
what are you
me
going
throwing
to
away
do?
books.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
sad, but I can't keep hold of them just because I don't
Oh no.
want them to end up in the trash somewhere.
No, 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 of course not.
That was
Of
a big
course.
thing, especially as a German with our history about like
Mm.
burning books and
Yes, yes,
everything.
of course. Yes, I understand. There's a trauma in that.
There
I
is
get that.
definitely.
Yeah.
So I had to get over that one as well but yeah. It's a process.
That is, and there's
But you
also
can
you
totally learn, yeah. And
yeah,
it's
and
so
you can
nice when you have somebody like you by your side. I mean,
mhm,
even just talking to you about it, as we do sometimes when we just have
yeah,
our chats,
yeah,
our private ones, is like it's amazing. And you, because you're so structured and organized, and you've got so much experience with that,
mm,
it's like, oh, I didn't think about that. Oh yeah, I have to look into that. And
mm,
so see, kind of get new inspiration, and then you
yeah.
go into another corner and
That's right. Just start because my
yeah.
sister, she has this big, huge villa, and
Mm,
she's like, it's so much. I'm getting overwhelmed. I'm like, of course you are, because you're looking at the whole. We can't look at the
yeah.
whole. We have to look at a piece. Let's start in one corner of one room.
Mm,
And for example, in her closet, she's got a huge walk-in closet with all these clothes from all the decades. And she's like, where do we begin? Like, on one side. We start in one corner and then we just go one piece at a time. I mean, people are like, "Oh, it's going to take forever." It doesn't take as long as you think. It's don't look at the whole. Just start with the one. Just take. You want like this? Yeah, I want that. You want this? Yes, yes. No, 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 no. Just throw them on the floor immediately. Get the hangers off and just keep going. Next one, next one. Because people can do it. It just you get like into a rhythm, and it is a rhythm, and it's a beautiful feeling. And then all of a sudden you're having a good time, and then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, well, my God, let me try that on. Okay, okay, let's keep on moving. Let's keep on moving, and it's a nice thing. And what surprised me about what I hadn't considered really about the death cleaning was that looking at our administrative stuff, like with actual death, like when there is a death and why you're doing the death cleaning is after somebody has passed away, is the administrative piece of the paperwork, like the banking side, all of the bank accounts, all of the credit card statements, and all of the different invoices that are coming in from all of your utilities that all of a sudden now have to be moved into your name. Do you know how much work that takes? It
Yeah.
is like nightmare on my street to get that stuff done in the aftermath, right? When you're
Yeah.
already completely overwhelmed. And so, I mean, I say to anybody now that because it wasn't something that I had helped my other clients with, but my sister needed that. And this is where my banking comes in, where I'm like, yes, of course we're going to call. Let's get the statement out. Let's go line by line item by line item. If you don't recognize it, you're calling that 800 number and you're going to find out what is this for? Okay, yeah, no, I don't need that. Let's cancel it right now. Get it canceled. No problem. And so just piece by piece by piece. And it's just like, I don't really like calling customer service lines because I can't hear them and they can't seem to hear me. And I'm like, that's okay. Get used to it because you're going to have to get used to it. Like I could have taken the phone from her and done it for her, but that's not serving her. She needs to learn because now she is the head of the household, the woman who has to take care of everything. And so
Yeah.
somebody doing it for you isn't going to get you the answers.
No,
But
because they're just a limited
yeah,
amount of time, isn't it? You
yeah.
can't even call like 0800 numbers from an international phone, isn't it?
No,
As
no,
soon
no,
as you're
no.
out of the country, that's it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Then you got to get to Skype or you got to figure out WhatsApp or whatever. I mean,
Yeah,
it was just an interesting because that's where she wanted to start. She felt more overwhelmed
yeah.
by the administrative stuff than starting the decluttering process of her home. So that's where we started was there. And that was cool. That's what she wanted. That's what we did. And that we sat down for hours and hours and took care of stuff and she felt better. She got a game plan together. She felt more settled. And that's, having somebody next to you by your side, it doesn't have to be me. It could be your best friend, just like somebody to calm your nerves if you're feeling like, okay, I'm going to lose it on this phone call because I have to tell people my husband just died, like for the 40th time in a row. And people, it's so interesting. Like there were so many people that didn't even say like, oh, I'm so sorry about your loss. They would just be,
Yeah.
okay, so how can I help you? I'm like, did they just hear what you just said to them? I'm like, oh, that makes me sad.
Yeah,
But
that's very insensitive.
mhm, mhm. Like, are you listening? Are you listening?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So it's a lot. It's a lot. But again, one bite at a time. How did we eat an elephant, right?
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
it is an elephant.
Yeah. And from
Yeah.
experience, I can say it's good just without even anybody dying. It's good to
Hmm.
do that once in a while to go
Oh,
through
yes.
stuff and
Oh,
see.
for sure. Audit your
Yeah.
bills, audit every single monthly statement, your
Yeah.
bank accounts when they come in. Because I mean, stuff happens all the time. Get
Yeah.
incorrectly charged all the time. That happens.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and you are the person as the account owner that has the burden to look at that and to call them and get it fixed.
Absolutely.
Not the banks. No, 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 it's your job. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, but it's an honor to do the work. It's beautiful. It makes me so happy.
I
It
can see
fills my
like
heart.
when you post like your little reels or your pictures and that and you smile to the camera and it's like you light up inside.
Mm. Because
That's
I
really
feel lit
something
up. It's an
that's
amazing
something that's
feeling.
really fulfilling for you, isn't it, to
Yeah,
do that?
yeah. And to actually be this age, people are like, "Well, aren't you thinking about retiring soon?" I'm like, I'm just starting. This is just starting. I mean,
Yeah,
I love this. Why would I want to stop? I mean,
yeah,
I get to travel. I have clients that bring me across the world to work with them in their homes. I mean, it's like the most private, intimate thing you could do. And I get to travel, which I love. And now my husband is going to be joining me in the business in
yes.
June. He
That
is
is so
retiring.
amazing. I
Retiring.
mean, I
He's
loved
leaving
that
his
when you
business.
told me, "Oh, you know what? My husband is retiring and he's gonna join me in my business." Thomas. I was like, wow, that is so cool.
It
You can
is
do
a
that
dream.
together. Yeah.
It's a dream of mine that I have been, this is so strange. This is where spirit is like coming into the game here. And that was about, I started the business when I was 50. And then probably when I was 52, 53, I was like, you know what I'd really love, Thomas? I'd love for you to work with me. But at that point, I was a life coach. And he's like, well, I'm not a life coach. I'm like, well, you can get an education and you're a beautiful human being that has so much experience. And you would, I mean, people love talking to him.
Yes.
And so then when I started getting out of the life coaching and thinking more about doing the podcasting and like going into this whole other realm of more moss, less mess, which I love. And I was like, wait a minute. It's time. I know it's time. It's time for you to leave that job and come and work with me. And we're going to do this together. He's like my Viking, my huge 6'6" Viking, and he's strong like bull and he can move things. He's moving and grooving. He can fix and tricks. And like, we're doing this. We're going to be doing it. And I feel it like 100%,
Amazing. Yeah.
100% that this is, yes, together. Because what matters to me most is my family, my relationships, my love, my freedom, my peace, right? So
Yeah.
how am I bringing this vision together? I'm creating it by actually seeing it and already living in it as though I am in it now already. And it's like, it's happening. Things are like, it's like all the palette that are falling into place. And it's like, I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. I feel more alive than I ever have. And I get to do work that I love and get paid for it and be with the man that I love. I'm like, what? It's absolutely possible. I'm doing it. I am doing it. I'm creating it. And other people can too.
And
Other
it's so
people can
great
too.
because obviously, you can dream as big as you like, but he's got to be on board with that, isn't it? If you
Oh,
don't want
yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah. Oh my
So
gosh.
that you guys do that together is just so
Mm-hmm.
wonderful that he really feels like, yeah, that's the way forward with
Yeah,
you.
this sounds like fun because
Mm.
he hasn't really experienced, he's the same, right? I mean, he was a banker for 25 years or whatever. And so like the black and white, you don't go to work to enjoy
Yeah.
it. You
Yeah.
don't, that's, as a matter of fact, he also got a heart problem from the stress of his job. It was so bad. And
Oh
I'm
my
like, you know
God.
what?
Yeah.
Nothing is worth our health. Nothing. Don't, right.
Absolutely.
We have to take care of ourselves, our body temples first. And a part of that is living a life of joy. Well, how can that even be possible that you actually enjoy your job?
Hmm.
Well, yeah, yes. Remember, I've seen it. I've witnessed it. They've done it. I can do it. I can do it. You can do it. You can do it. They can do it. It's possible. And how do you do that? You lead by example. You actually lead by example and you do it. And then people will be like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just taking each day as it comes. I don't have any kind of like a structured format here. I'm like leading from my heart and my soul. And God is my partner in crime on my shoulder. And we're like talking and having a great time. And like, yeah, we're figuring this out. We're figuring this out. And Thomas is just like, I'm along for the ride. I'm like, cool. That's awesome.
I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. And I mean, I've seen you kind of grow into this from the time you started your podcast roundabout. I think
Yeah.
that was about the time we became closer as well
Yeah.
as friends, and up to now is like just seeing your development in that and how that progressed and how you came from I have to do every week
Uh-huh.
on the dot and I can't miss a single episode. And I was like, well, I'm
People are
traveling, I haven't
depending
got
on
time
me.
next week,
Yeah.
whatever. So,
Yeah.
but
And that was hard. That was hard for me.
yeah, I know.
That took a little bit.
And
I'm like,
it's very admirable that you did that, I think, because
thank you.
it's something like I know how important that always was to you to be
Yes,
really like on.
structure.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's like, well, I don't get paid to do a podcast. I pay to do my podcast. People are like, oh, because it's funny because people also think, oh, you have a podcast, you must be making so much money. I'm like,
No.
do you have me? Okay. No, that's not how it works. I mean, there are people, of course, that do make money and that is their work. And you're doing,
Yeah.
you're selling marketing time or advertising or whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really interested in that. That wasn't my thing. I wasn't up
Mhm.
for, I guess, like, I don't want to say selling my podcast time for money to push products to
Yeah.
people. I'm like, no, I will talk about any of my beautiful friends that are doing wonderful work in the world freely
Mhm.
from my heart. But when there's money involved, it becomes a different transaction. I don't want it to be a transaction. So I wanted to keep the podcast separate. But then when I started doing this decluttering and death cleaning, all of a sudden, like I told you, the clients are just coming and people are saying, talk to Asa, talk to Asa. And for me, I'm like, oh, all right. Yeah, well, of course. Yeah, I'd love to help you. But then like trying to figure out, it takes so much work to do this podcast, this free podcast, that I'm like, I can't, how do I balance? How do I balance? How do I balance? I'm like, something's got to give. What's got to give? The podcast has to give that week. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be leading by example and saying it's time to slow down and it's not time to get more crazed, I got to do more, I got to have more, I got to have everything, like that goes against my entire messaging. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? If I'm saying, I'm like, no, just stop and just say, sorry, it's not going to happen this week. I'll be back when I can. I'll be back when I
Absolutely.
can. That's it.
Yes. I had to learn that the hard way as well. It was so
We
difficult,
all
but
do.
so liberating, isn't it?
Yeah.
It
Well, it's
really is.
again,
Yeah.
who are we doing this for? This
Yeah.
is our life. And when we lead our lives from a place of pure joy and wanting to give and share versus, oh my God, I got to do this. I better hurry up because people are waiting on me. Holy cad, like, no, it's a very different time then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you do, because there's a difference between just doing decluttering and doing Swedish death cleaning. So would you describe the process, how you do that with a client?
Sure. Death cleaning is an ongoing process.
Yeah.
Now, what Swedish death cleaning even is, the term came about by a woman by the name of Margareta Magnusson. Actually, I have her book right here. It's called Döstädning, which means death cleaning, the gentle art of Swedish death cleaning. And she's a super practical Swede. I mean, Swedes are practical, like the Germans, right? You're just like, just do this, do that. Don't leave a mess for everybody else. It's like, it seems like it's a no-brainer. But it's not that common for people to understand. So death cleaning is when you start getting all your ducks in a row. And that could be like going through my home, going through each room. Like, I want my mom to have that. I want my sister to have that. I'm going to ask the people, do you want these things one day? And then you put like name tags on it, or you can like make a list. You can create things so that one day, when the day comes that you pass away, the next people who have to take care of your stuff know what you wanted, what your wishes were.
Yeah.
And that's like picking up stuff as you go, like that's like what I mean by the ongoing process. And so to do a whole home, that probably takes about a year. I mean, because it's obviously I'm not working with somebody for a year, but you as the homeowner, it would take you that much time if you're going through the whole thing and getting your paperwork together, getting a will, getting a testament, getting power of attorneys, getting health power of attorney, I mean, all that kind of stuff. That's super important. Now, decluttering literally means I got too much shit. I got to get it out of here. I got to be moving. I got to clear it out. Like there's really nothing more to decluttering. Is like, well, should I clean the house first? Like, no, you don't get clean. That comes later. Declutter first. That's what you do. Get rid of the things, get things back to where you want them to be, and then you clean, right? It's a process. Just go room by room, space by space of just looking with a different eye. Like, why do I have 5 bowls right there? I never even used those bowls. Why do I have them? I don't even want them. I'm going to get rid of them. I'm going to sell them, or I'm going to give them to the secondhand, or I'm going to give them to my neighbor, whatever. It's decluttering is more like now. It's a now thing. And then you always, if you see like, and you'll see because you keep adding more stuff. We keep adding more things. We get rid of 10, we buy 50, right? It's like, well, it's like something is missing from my life. Like, is it? Asking yourself the questions. I mean, decluttering, it's why? Why do I want more things? What is it that, why do I keep buying things? Why do I keep going to Amazon? Is it the excitement of ordering something and having it here in an hour? Which that was like that when I was in Texas. I was like, my sister ordered bedding for her new room because we had to shred that bedding in there because it was time to go. And she ordered it and she goes, okay, it'll be here in an hour. I'm like, what will? She's like, the bedding will be here in an hour. I'm like,
well, we don't have it that fast yet.
Like, what do you mean it's going to be here in an hour? I'm like, yeah, I was like, oh my God. Like, no wonder people buy things because you have everything at your fingertips. I mean, here in Sweden, you don't have that as much, but it's looking back at what is it for? What am I doing? Why do I want this? What is it filling? What is the thing filling? Is it something else that maybe I need to have a conversation with somebody? I'm feeling like empty, or I want to be more connected to my spouse, and instead of buying more things because I'm not getting that need met, maybe I need to go talk to somebody about that. Maybe I need to go get some help. Maybe, I mean, counselor or whatever, or couples counseling, or talk to my husband, or I mean, whatever it is, it's like not for nothing. Nothing means nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything builds on each other. So the Swedish death cleaning, that's what that is. And that is more of after or before a death, like where you have to even downsize, resize, upsize, right size, because you're now living alone, because you just lost a spouse, or you are by yourself. And like my client in Stockholm who is moving back to the US, and he's
Yeah.
not doing, I mean, we did death cleaning after his wife passed, but now we're cleaning up the whole place to get that thing gone. It's all gotta go. I mean, it has to go. He's not moving any of it with him to America. It's
Yeah.
gonna be
Yeah.
all given away.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So that's a different client.
And I
Right,
think
that's a
it's really, really helpful and comforting to have somebody who has an idea about what they're doing
mm,
and who's showing empathy like you do
mm,
to go through that process,
for
because I
sure.
think, if you don't do it just like, okay, I've amassed too much clutter, I need to
Mm,
get rid of something, and I need
mm,
somebody like a professional to help me with that, is like one thing. But if you're in a
mm.
stage of
Yeah.
grief as
Yes, when
well,
there's a death involved,
that is
it's very
really
different.
very
Yeah.
hard, isn't it? And
Yeah.
then to have somebody who reminds you as well, have you thought of this and how are the
Mm,
laws and whatever? Because I
mm.
remember you speaking about that as well.
Yeah.
Different countries, different states, whatever.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I
But
mean, it's, it is, that I think
that's
that's
like the
what
stuff I never think about so much myself. And I was like, oh yeah, I have to check that.
Oh, yeah, I gotta get that paperwork started.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but I mean, just getting a will or having something documented about do you wanna be cremated? Do you wanna have a burial? Do you wanna have a I mean, like, all that kind of stuff. It's like, I mean, there are 80-year-olds that I talk to that don't have this stuff written down, they don't have it documented, and people who've been
Mm,
sick for years, I mean, heavy cancer, and then they finally die, and then their spouse is like, "I don't know what they wanted." I mean, how is it possible that people don't talk? I know it's fear. I know that they don't wanna make it like, "Oh, you're gonna pass away," but still, we're all going to pass away. So this is the 100% certainty that's going to happen. So
yeah,
it doesn't have to, like, the earlier we get to this, the more we make it normalized to talk about it, the less taboo it becomes, and the more we can have conversations with our own family, our own siblings, our own parents, our spouses. And it helps the world when people have plans in place. It helps us all.
mm,
Um, and it is a different thing when there is a death already that's involved, in how you have the grief coaching, or are they ready really to start getting rid of their deceased spouses or child's things.
yeah.
There's time. Everybody has their own time frames, and I do not set that time for them. That is not something I ever do, because I mean, who am I to say you should really be over this by now? Let's move this stuff out. No way. No way.
No, you can't do that. Yeah,
No way. But there could be other things that we can do to work on, instead of the person who has deceased, who's now passed away, to
yeah.
work like at my sister's, work on her things. That was more comfortable for her. That was okay. That felt safe. And
Yes.
we're not doing something here to not make you safe. No way. No way.
Yeah.
I'm here to hold you. I'm here to hold you up. I'm here to do anything that you need within my powers to make you feel empowered during
Yes.
the hardest time in your
Yeah.
life.
I mean, I haven't had you here for doing any desk cleaning for me or anything, but I can say, knowing you as a person and how you operate as well, and like, when we do readings for each other or something like
Yeah.
that, it's really you make so sure that somebody's comfortable and safe with you
Mm,
and has
mm,
that open space to
mm,
really be open themselves emotionally.
Well, so do you.
Like
I'm
non-judgmental. Yeah, thank you.
Well,
I'm
I
just
mean, when you did my past life regression
yeah,
session, I mean, it was exactly the same thing. It was like,
yeah,
if I didn't feel safe, because it's there's so much unknown. It's like, well, is this real? could this be real? Is this fake? Am I faking this? Am I dreaming this? Is what's happening here? And,
Yeah.
to have someone like yourself that
Mm.
knows a process and understands and connects
Yeah.
most, I mean, this is what I think is so important is, and the connection to the intuitive, to the higher self, to source, to spirit, God, whatever you wanna call it, um, that's where the magic is. I mean, it's the connection to, and then bringing into the moment, and you, my friend, are, uh, a godsend at this. You have got some mad skills,
Yeah.
and while still making people feel, like I said in the beginning, seen, valued, and heard, the most, or maybe I didn't say it this time, that's, that who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want that?
Definitely, and especially in situations like this where you're very vulnerable, whether
Mhm,
it's like doing the death cleaning and you've just
mhm,
lost somebody
mm,
very close to you, or doing any kind of spiritual work as well, or in a
mm,
therapy where you're going to working with your emotions and things like that.
mm.
You can't go there if you don't feel safe emotionally
Mm,
with somebody.
no, and you won't go
It's
there.
just it's just a no go. So nothing's going to happen there, and so you really have to provide that. And I think, like, I know some people would like do that in their work, and they're totally different when they're like acting out as a private person.
Mm,
But I really think, like, with you, it's like a second nature to you. It's like, you're very open. You're not like opinionated in the ways, like, as we said before, like, oh, my view is the only true one, and everybody else is stupid if you don't agree with me, kind of thing.
mm,
You don't do that, and
no,
that's what
mm,
I love. It's like we don't have
mm,
to agree on stuff, but we can be
no,
open to listening to each other and
sure,
broadening our horizons, and just
of course.
creating space for somebody to voice their opinions and feelings and whatever they want to
Well,
do.
another thing where
Yeah.
that's when we do this, we feel more alive, we feel more aligned, and then what happens with that is like the boomerang effect of the universe says thank you and loves that and wants more of that and starts bringing you more of these. I mean, it is it's beautiful. It is beautiful to be open and to allow ourselves the gift of experiencing and experimenting with other thoughts and ideas,
Yeah.
through listening and feeling into other people
Yeah.
and their stories and their lives. And that's why you and I both love storytelling. And me, it's my absolute favorite, absolute favorite thing in the world.
I do,
Mm,
but it's also like when you work with somebody in that way, it feels like it's really an honor,
mhm.
but at the same
Oh yeah.
time, it's not like, obviously we take it very seriously and responsive handle it responsibly, but it also feels so fulfilling. And
Mm,
like when I did the regression with you, it
mm.
was like my heart was going open, 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 open like that. It was expanding, and I was like, oh,
Mm.
I was blissed out. It's like,
Oh,
oh, I love doing this. It's so
yeah.
good.
You can tell.
So
You
it's
can
not
tell.
just a one-way street. It's just
Yeah.
I was
Which
totally in
is
my
it's so
vibe.
interesting. That's you just made me think of something like, somebody told me once, "Do you love it so much you would do it for free? Do you love it so much you would do it for free?" I'm like, "I've done it for free for years and years and years and years. You've done it for
Exactly.
free for years and years and years and years too." And
Yeah.
it's like, yes, yes. I mean, hell, serving another human being with our gifts, that is another responsibility, I believe, of ours. I mean, it's if we do not do this and keep poo-pooing and minimizing ourselves and like, oh, not me, I shouldn't do that. I don't want to be too big. I don't want people to think I know something that I mean, whatever. The stories that we're saying to ourselves, which are so minimizing of ourselves.
Yeah.
It doesn't serve anybody. It
Mm.
doesn't serve anything. And to truly be coming from this place and to feel and knowing you are alive, then the universe keeps giving us more of other people that also want to feel more alive, whatever that looks like for them. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to look
Yeah.
like what I'm going to look like or what I do. It's just about the energy of the attraction towards other people that want something bigger in the world, better for all. Not this is, the community being the world community,
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
stratosphere.
Yeah. And I got asked recently, I don't know, I was talking with my cousin and she said like, yeah, like, oh, what would you do if you won the lottery kind of thing, whatever. And of course we were like, yeah, we give each other something. And I know she's got a really hard job and things are going down at work. So, I said, she's older than me. So I was like, you could retire right now
Yeah,
because she's
yeah,
really ready for it.
yeah. Mm,
But, I was like thinking then along the line when I said, yeah, I would take my kids out for a big meal and go on holiday with them and things and blah, blah, whatsoever. And she said, oh, then you didn't have to like do online stuff anymore and do that work, isn't it? So because you don't need to earn any money. And I said, no, I'll be doing that for free for people.
mhm.
Definitely. Or, it's just like, or pass it on or in some way, whatever. But
Yeah,
it's
we have
just
to.
like, I just want my basic needs met, whatever I
Yeah,
want,
yeah.
or like whatever I want to do. And the rest is like, let's see where I can invest that, my children and people, in a
Mm,
charity or whatever, and helping other people. But it's like, for me, it's like, I wouldn't stop that. I wouldn't stop
no.
writing. I mean,
Mm,
I've been writing
hmm,
since I was able to write fluently, quickly enough, so it didn't get too much of a drag kind of thing, like from my
yeah.
teens. And I've always been writing stories.
Huh.
So, and I've only started, I mean, I was born in 71. I've only started publishing in 2015. So all that time I've
Oh
been
my
just
goodness.
writing for myself for free. But
Yeah.
I've been writing and I got
Yeah.
depressed if I didn't. And
Mm.
you know,
Well, that's a part of something inside of you that you need to get out,
I
and then there's
did. Yeah. I
people
mean,
who need to
it's,
read it.
yeah. I mean, at the moment it's kind of changed a lot. I'm a lot more doing a lot more spiritual work rather than the writing, but it's always been kind of like a diary thing for me, but in fiction.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like somebody else who would pick up one of my old writing pads and would read and would go like, "Oh, well, that's a nice story," kind of thing, or maybe not. But
Mm.
if I read a story, just a random one, I just pick it off the shelves and I read and I'm like, "Oh, this and that happened at the time." I just know.
I'm
I
positive.
might not even remember the story that much.
Uh-huh.
So, but even when I read the beginning, like the first 1 or 2 pages, I'm like, I know what happened at the time,
Mm.
where I was emotionally and that kind of thing. So that's
Well,
kind of
because you're an excellent author, you're an excellent writer.
yeah.
Like your website, I mean, I have when you told how many pages does your website have?
Uh, I think 300 and something
My
or
more
just
most of the
under. More.
people.com is like 4 pages, I think. That's it. I'm like, I don't even
Yeah,
have a
yeah, but
sales
you
page.
don't need. Yeah, but it was also. I mean, most of that obviously, I've written quite a few books, so every book has a page to it, and if there's a series or something that
Yeah.
has a separate page, and then it breaks down to the separate books. But the Divine Library is the one where it's really at.
Yeah.
There is so
Yeah.
much on there. I mean, there's so much have to work over as well because I've rebranded my website, but it can't do 300 pages all of, you know,
Mm.
then also restructuring things and whatever within a certain category.
It's such a
But like the
library.
goddesses are all, obviously I did them first, and they're all up
Yeah.
to scratch and that kind of stuff. And I've done a few gods as well,
Uh-huh.
male gods,
Mhm.
but they just come once in a while when I feel like it, but it hasn't happened lately. And yeah, and then we've got like tarot. That's 78 pages right there by itself, plus an overall
Right,
kind of
from the
page, isn't it?
78 cards.
Like the
Uh-huh.
same with astrology, like the zodiac signs. You've got keywords for the zodiac, different zodiac signs, and I'm gonna make plans or like the weekdays, like for witchy stuff. What is the
Mm.
best weekday to do something or the moon phase?
Right.
That's kind
Yeah.
of some of it isn't planning, some of it I've already done, but that accumulates really fast. Even if there isn't like it doesn't have to be like a whole page, like
Right.
all the way.
Right.
But obviously, my goddess articles, especially the new ones, they tend to be a lot longer.
I think it's interesting
Yeah.
that you say that me and Sinead Fine and I, that we are so organized, but you can keep track of a 300 plus
Online, I'm really, yeah,
website.
but that is really structured. And when you
Uh-huh.
look at how I save all my documents and everything on, you know, I mean, I've got a brilliant system which I've developed over time. I really do. Come to the real world, 3D.
I don't know.
That's a different
I don't
thing.
believe you. I think you're full of shit. I think you're really
When we
good
stop
and you just don't
recording,
talk
I'm
about
gonna
it.
show you around here. I'm not gonna do that in public.
Oh, you need me, the death
I've gotten
cleaner.
better, but yeah,
Uh-huh.
it
Oh my
doesn't come
God.
easy to me. It was always like when my mom was younger, and she used to help me when the kids were small, like tidying up here and that.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, some stuff that would take me like 2 weeks, and I couldn't do it that well. She'd be like through in half an hour, and you could put like a ruler on it. You know, it was all straight and
Yeah.
square angles and everything. I was like,
How do you do
how
that?
do you do
It's a
that?
gift. It's
Yeah,
her gift.
it is. It absolutely is. Or like folding,
Mm.
washing that you haven't
Oh,
ironed and
mm.
folding that up, and then it looks like it comes straight out of the packet
Yeah.
in the store, you know. It's like, how do you do that?
Yeah. Easy. I say easy.
I can't do that. I just cannot, you know. I'm not very good with fiddly bits like that. But
That's all
I
right.
mean, you know, I've got different talents. I tell
That's
wonderful
exactly right.
stories.
Yes. Yes, you write incredible books. You are an incredible astrologer, not numerology,
No.
what is it, tarot. You do
Tarot,
all
yeah.
so
Astrology, I'm
many
just in
beautiful
the very
things.
beginning. I've just learned
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
basics, and I
But you know
really I
what?
need to study that
You
more.
know more than others.
Yeah, I do.
You know
Yeah,
more.
of course I do.
We're starting with fresh mind. We're starting with fresh mind and being
Mm.
open to teaching people things that we know and sharing
Yeah.
our gifts. That's it. That's what we
Yeah, and I always said I don't want to be a teacher because first of all, I don't have that structure, and second of all, I'll probably be shouting at the kids in the class, and and it's like nobody has
Mm,
deserved that.
I think people frown upon that.
Neither me, not the kids. So
Uh-huh.
it's like that's, and like half of my family is teachers, so
Yeah.
from an early age, I've always been around that, and I
Yeah.
was like, no, I'm never, ever gonna be a teacher,
I will
and
never,
now it's so
ever.
nice. I'm like, the idea, but I don't want to, that I'd only had that in my head, like teaching children who are forced to be there,
Yeah.
forced to learn something they don't give a shit about, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
And that was the kind of concept I had about teaching, but now it's
Yeah.
like I love something, and people will come to me, and they're going to be adults, young or
Yeah.
old or
Yeah.
whatever in the middle, and they're going to come to me because they want to learn something.
Yeah. That's right.
And that
That's right.
makes all the difference because
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't have to think about, oh, there's going to be lots of disruptive behavior and things
Mhm.
like that
Mm.
as you
Yeah.
have in a normal school because
Right.
people actually want to be there, and they're at that
Yeah.
point in their lives where they've already looked into that and say, okay, I really want to do a course to get me further here and now because I'm not
Mm.
really getting there by myself, or maybe just have that social connection or whatever it is, whatever
Mm.
motivates them. But that makes such a difference to know. And in that context, like when my son's girlfriend, she's 21 now, she just turned 21 a month ago. And when I said, oh, I'm doing it. I've just finished my tarot diploma. And she went, what tarot?
Hey,
It's like,
what? You do
oh,
tarot?
can you show me? And
Uh-huh.
then she was all into that, and never expected that because my son always said, I'm not gonna be with somebody who's like, oh, doing all that woo woo stuff and whatever. Yeah, well, he is.
Never say never.
Yeah. So there you go, and
Oh.
then all of a sudden, and it was so good. It felt so wonderful to
Mm.
explain something and her picking it up and, being so quick about it as well and saying, no,
Mm.
I don't think I can do that. I said, just try. And she was like, and I said, you just described the full card. We were doing the full card. I said, you've done
Mm.
that perfectly. And that is like, that felt so good.
Well, you are an excellent teacher because you also come from a place of kindness, which
Yeah.
is, it's not necessarily, my way is the right way. It is, this is what I understand. What do you see? And that's what I love about Sinead Fine, also
Yeah.
our tarot teacher, is, whatever, don't memorize the cards. What do you feel? What is it telling you? What is your intuition telling you? And that's the meaning of the card. And it's like, ooh, then I have to
Yeah.
trust myself. Now I have to trust myself. Oh,
Yeah, and when you
Jesus.
post the reading in the group, she will never tell you, or like
Yeah,
also like during your studies in the diploma group, is like she will never say that's right or wrong.
right.
She
She'd say
she
that's
has
great.
totally omitted out from her vocabulary,
Yeah.
from her thinking and teaching. She's like, this is not right or wrong. Does that
Mm,
feel like it
mm,
is that way to you? If
yeah,
in that moment that feels like it to you that way, then that's it.
that's right.
Even if like the keywords of the cards, the official ones might be different or something, but go with your intuition, and she might make more suggestions on top of what you've said, just to help you along, and maybe get different perspectives as well. But while you're still learning, but this
That's
is
it.
just, I love that, you know,
But
because
that's a
we
gift
have at
also,
school, we have so much fear to fail, to do
to be
something
wrong.
wrong,
Mm,
because you always get bad grades for that, and that
right.
means you get into trouble.
Hmm.
And once you remove that factor of that fear-based kind of pushing, then people can be open and experiment, and
Right.
and yeah, you can get it totally wrong, but it's not, everybody gets it wrong sometimes, and that's totally not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
a process, part of the process.
that's it. And it's like it's the same thing
Mhm.
of circling back to the idea of surrounding ourselves with people who are just like us, or the echo chambers, and not opening our minds to different perspectives and perceptions. And when it's a
Yeah,
black and white answer, yes or no, whatever, but when there is some room for exploration, right? It's
yeah,
like at that point, I think that also enables creativity in a human being to be able to think outside of the black and white box.
yes.
That kind of encouragement, I think, could be well served many people. I think the world, really. Oh,
Mhm.
the world, my card again. The world card can be served by that.
Oh my God, yes. Just
I love
talking
that
about
card.
it, wasn't it?
Mm,
It's wonderful. Yeah.
yeah. Mm,
And I mean, that is a really cool place to say, wrap it up now.
yeah.
We've covered so much, and
What an honor.
yeah, and I will totally put all your links, your information in the info box
Thanks.
as well, so
Great.
everybody
Awesome.
knows how to get hold of you and
Awesome.
work with
I
you.
will say there is no sales page. I'm not one of those. I don't have a 300-page website. My website, my moremoss to the people.com, is the repository for the podcast. So you're welcome to go out and listen to any previous episodes. Give me your thoughts, your ideas, your feedback. I'd love to hear it. And I have a little blurb on the first page about doing death cleaning and decluttering. So, but you've seen me now, you know what I do.
Yeah, but I mean, even somebody who follows your podcast, they know what you're all about,
Yeah,
and
who am I?
so it's totally free to contact you and
Oh,
ask,
for sure, of
how does
course.
that work? How would you go about it? Give me a
Yes. Oh my
quote or
God.
whatever. So
Tell me what you need.
Asa is totally approachable,
For sure.
so kind, and
Thank you.
you can always talk to her about it and ask if you want to know more. And in case you want to hire somebody, she's your
Mm,
girl. Definitely.
thank you. Thank you.
You're,
That's right.
you're
And
the
after
death
June, my
cleaning
husband comes
goddess.
too. And my husband is the death cleaning god.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, so fun. Thank you so much. What a
Yeah,
beautiful, beautiful moment this has been to share ideas and thoughts and be a
absolutely
part
loved
of
it.
your
And
world.
it's
Appreciate it.
so wonderful that you're the first one that
Thank
I'm
you.
doing on this new channel.
Thank
So
you.
that was a really good baptism for that one. Do you have any parting thoughts, like one thing you want to
Mm,
give to people on the way
mm,
out?
yeah.
Mm.
Don't leave a mess. Don't leave a mess for other people. And what I mean by that is literally get your life, your paperwork, your home, your things, your belongings in order. And when you do, you're getting all of your life in order. It is not just one piece. It is not just a part and parcel. Don't leave a mess.
Yeah.
Take care of it. Love yourself first. Love yourself most. And by doing that, you take care of yourself, because then the next step is you're taking care of other people too. So we have to tend to ourselves first, right? Fill our cup, and then from that place, getting ourselves in order, we are helping all the people that we say that we love, who have to take care of us after it is our time. So just being cognizant of that.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you again so much from
Thank
the
you.
bottom of my
Thank
heart.
you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate it. I love you. I appreciate
Love you
everything you
too.
do in the world, and you're doing beautiful work. Really, you are.
Same, absolutely the same to you.
Thanks. Thank you.
See you. Bye.
Bye, honey. Take care.